She's a mother of 7 children, married, best-selling author, and award-winning author of The Jackrabbit Factor. So without any further ado, it's my pleasure to welcome Leslie Householder. Put your hands together for her.
Thank you. Is the microphone okay? Yes. All right, good. Yeah. I can't really hear myself. I just hear myself right here. I don't hear it coming from anywhere else, so I'll just trust that. Thank you, Garrett. I appreciate that. It's been a pleasure getting to know Garrett better, too, and I tell you, he is right on with these principles. I am so excited to be here. I'm excited to see all you here, and thank you for your patience as we worked out some of the logistics of working this all out. Just let me get this out of the way up front. If it wasn't obvious, the little papers on your chair are comment cards or sheets that hopefully you'd be willing to give us some feedback at the end of this. Now, why is it 2-part carbonless? I don't know. It was a mistake. It's so that you can take home a copy of your comments. Isn't that really cool? Okay. Yeah, that was a mistake. There's no mistakes. There's a reason for that. Somebody's going to go home and be so glad that they kept their comments. I don't know. How many of you are familiar with the book, The Jackrabbit Factor, already? Thank you. Thank you. Okay, that's a good thing because if you hadn't read The Jackrabbit Factor, maybe there's some of you who have not, you may be spending the first half hour here kind of, I'm not sure about this. And that's okay. That's okay. Maybe you'll spend the whole time feeling that way. And that's all right, too. But if you've read The Jackrabbit Factor, you know that there's something to know about how life really works. And as we figure that out, we have a better control over what kind of results we experience. So first of all, we're going to do a little activity. And those of you who have seen this on the Internet, humor me, okay? On the next page, or on the next screen, I'm going to give you a page of random numbers. And you need to find number 1, number 2, and so forth to number 60 in sequential order. All right, and see if there's any missing. And if there are, which ones, okay? And you've got, okay, you know what? I need a second hand. Trevan? Trevan's gone. Okay, I'm going to use somebody's. Thank you. All right, on your marks. Get set. Go. Stop. How many of you got to 10? Raise your hand if you got to 10. 15. 20. 25. 30. Good for you. 40. Good. How far did you get in the blue? 45. Anybody beat 45? What'd you get? 51. Nice. Had you seen this before? Ah. Okay. You've seen it. I'm not even going to go there. All right, we're going to try this again. I want you to notice that the numbers are organized into 4 quadrants. Number 1 is in the upper, your right. Number 2 is there, 3, 4, and it goes clockwise. All right? We're going to do this again, see if you can do any better. On your marks, get set, go. Stop. Okay, raise your hand if you did better. Okay, what was the difference? Okay, it's the conglomerate response. When I've done this presentation, I've had people raise their hand and say, the difference was there was a pattern. Well, there was always a pattern, right? The difference was that you were aware of the pattern. And now, were there any numbers missing? They were all there. I know someone's thinking, no, 17 is gone. It's just not there. Yeah, they're all there. And the reason I do this is because for many, many years, I was really frustrated with my life. Things weren't turning out the way I had expected them to turn out. You know, I had these dreams of what it was going to be like to be married and have kids and just be able to do all these things and be the Kool-Aid mom and whatnot. And when things didn't turn out quite like that, I began to start asking, well, why? Why not? Why is this happening to us? Why did this accident happen in our life? Why did this job loss happen? You know, and I was looking for answers. And when everything just seemed so random, I didn't know what to predict. I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know if I could even make plans, the kind of plans I wanted to make, for fear of things keeping me from enjoying those plans. Until I discovered that there are laws, natural laws, that govern success, that govern the universe and everything that happens in it. I believe in a God, and I believe that His universe operates by law. And when I discovered that, things started to go better for me. I started to live my life with a higher awareness, and things started to go better. Now, same task, right? Same task, just higher awareness. And that's what I hope to offer tonight, is giving you a higher awareness of how life works so that you can go about life as usual with this higher awareness and get better results from it. So, question is, how do people solve the money problem? If there's a money problem, first of all, is there a money problem? You know, that depends. Depends on who you are, where you're at, what time of month it is, right? No, I didn't mean that. Okay. Although, you know, anyway, we can delete that part, right? Okay. How do people solve the money problem? They work harder, maybe work longer, get another job, send the wife to work, send the kids to work, send the dog to work, whatever. Just to try to make ends meet. Be more focused, okay? Maybe you've got a job where if you're focusing harder, that maybe the money comes bigger. I don't know. Be more clever. What are some other ways that people try to solve the money issue or the money problem? We're going to have to raise hands because I can't hear the conglomerate. Yeah. Cut back. Budget. Yeah. They go to Idaho and live cheaper? Is that what it is? Lottery tickets. Yeah, do the lottery. What else? What's that? Charge for it? Go into debt.
Sell things like yard sales.
Yard sales. Okay. Yeah.
Good network marketing.
Network marketing. Awesome. You know, these are some of the things. I had somebody say once, rob a bank. You know, I'm not endorsing any of these particular methods tonight. We're just exploring, all right? I found out that the significant problems we face in life cannot be solved at the same level of thinking we were at when we created them. Who created them? Ouch, right? And let me explain this a little bit. This guy here has a problem. He's trying to fit this square in the round hole, and the solution exists, but it's on a different thought frequency than where he's presently at. And that's what those lines are going to represent. It's going to be our level of thinking. It's going to be the thought frequency. If you think about yourself like a radio, and in this room right now, there are countless radio station broadcasts going on in this room, right? If I have a radio in here and I turn it on, does it suck the music into the room? Does it attract the music? No. The music's already there. It tunes into it. It makes it audible. And what I found out is that we are like a radio. And our thoughts are on a certain level, and if we're trying to solve the problems that we're in right now at the same level of thinking that we're at right now, we're going to get more of what we're experiencing right now. And that's why that's why my husband and I became seminar junkies early on in our marriage. Because we realized, going to a seminar takes our thoughts from here up to here, and we start seeing solutions that we'd never seen before, that had always been there, but all of a sudden we were aware of them. There are thought frequencies, and as your awareness grows, your thoughts change. Every problem can be solved with just an idea. Every problem, every solution is only an idea away. That's all it is. It's only an idea away. And when we feel stuck, when we're concerned, when we're struggling or frustrated, if we just had the right thought, the right idea to solve that problem, it wouldn't be a problem anymore. And we find those solutions by changing our thought frequency, and I'm going to teach you how to do that. So you might want to ask yourself, what is your thought frequency? Where are you at? Take an inventory of your life the way it is right now. Good or bad, however you want to assess that. If things aren't exactly the way you want them to be, there's a very simple process to get your thoughts to a level where the ideas and the inspiration you need will come to you. A little bit of history. This is my husband and I when we got married in 1991 in Arizona. We rented this really cool getaway car. Herbie the Love Bug. Because we thought it would make a great picture. No, this was a car that my parents gave me. Here's another view of it. It's very impressive. Herbie would have been cuter. Two-tone rust and white. Actually, that's white. I know you can't tell. That's what the cover on the front's for. While we were going to seminars, while we were trying to figure out how to solve the problems that we were facing, see, all I wanted to do was be a mom, a stay-at-home mom. That's all I ever wanted to do was just raise my kids. And this is something that my husband and I agreed to when we got married, that's what we wanted. He wanted that for me. I wanted that for me. And so we had a match. It was going to work out. And a year later, after being married, along comes a baby, and where are you, Jacob? He's out there somewhere. Anyway, he's on his way to arrive, and I thought, okay, well, here comes the baby. It's time to stay home from work. We were not financially prepared to do that, but we were going to operate on faith. This is what we're going to do. It'll work out somehow. And what happened is I quit work, and that year we went into debt pretty good. And at the end of that year, my husband lost his job, and I was forced back to work, and so was he in another way. And it was really hard for me not to be depressed. And it became a chronic thing for me. I became depressed quite often. And we were looking for answers. And for the first 7 years of our marriage, we attended no less than 100 seminars, literally. They might have been only $20 seminars here and there, but we went to at least 100 seminars. And each time I came back feeling pumped up and excited, and yes, life is going to change. Yes, we can do this. I can do this. We can change. And that would how long does that last? A week or two for me. That's about how long it lasted. In fact, I won't tell you that. And then, and I think that's why I kept going to seminars, is because it was keeping me in a state of hope at least 2 weeks out of every month. And if I didn't have that, I would be in really bad shape, and I might not have gone on. I don't know. Was I frustrated because I didn't have the Ferrari? I couldn't care less about a Ferrari, I saw my kid, and when I went back to work that first time, after having that extended maternity leave, I remember dropping my baby off at daycare in the morning when it was dark, because it was that early in the morning, and then picking him up at the end of the day when it was dark. And that's how I felt inside. I never saw him during the day, and it was very depressing. And so finally, after about 7 years of this, and more kids come along and everything, I got to a point. Well, no, let me say this first. We were doing janitorial work at night after school and after our other jobs or whatever we were doing at the time. And one of the offices I used to clean was Stephen Covey's office. I've never met him, but I've emptied his trash many times. He has a beautiful office, or at least he did back then. I don't know what it looks like now. I'm sure it looks beautiful now too. But I was cleaning his trash one time, and in the trash was a bookmark. And I saw that. I'm like, ooh, I had a picture of Einstein on it, and I love Einstein. I love the things he said. I aspire to think like him, maybe. I don't know. He's got the crazy hair going on. But the bookmark said, I want to know God's thoughts The rest are details. And honestly, I can't tell you what that means, but it struck something inside of me thinking, you know, when I face a problem, have you ever faced a problem and you're just like, I don't know what to think about this. I don't know what to think. Have you ever thought that? I just don't know what to think. Maybe I'm the only one that's ever thought that. But something inside of me said that if I knew how to think about this challenge, it would all work out okay in the long run. And maybe that's why this bookmark stuck out to me. I want to know God's thoughts. Imagine if Einstein wanted to know God's thoughts. I'll bet you problems would be reduced to almost nothing if I could know how God thought. And that stuck with me. So eventually we ended up in this apartment. It's a 2-bedroom. We were not smokers, but there was a neighbor who smoked, and it came through the outlets, through the walls. And that added to my depression. I just thought, this is not where I belong. I feel awful here. And there is a patch of grass behind that wall. But one day I came outside, and here's another shot of it. One day I came outside and found that a neighbor kid had broken my broom in half. And that was the last straw for me, because I had control over how swept my kitchen was, and now I didn't even have that unless I'm doing this, you know, and I didn't want to do that. So I came out, and where my thoughts were at that time, okay, think about what I've told you in terms of thought frequency. That was a problem. A broken broom was a problem in my life, and it was such a huge problem, it just about sent me over the edge. The only solution I could think of to solve that problem was to call the police. I called the police on the kid who broke my broom. And the policeman handled it like it was the crime of the century. It was beautiful. It was beautiful. But his grandmother was not very pleased with me. She told me, she said, you know, it's people like you, that's the only reason that he's even got a record. So this was my neighborhood, and I wanted out. And it was actually in this location that I hit a sort of rock bottom for me, where all those years I'd heard seminar speakers telling me, think big, picture what you want, dream big. How many of you have heard that? Yeah. And I'd been hearing that for 100 seminars. And you know what I did? I thought, picture what you want, dream big, fine, I will. So I went to bed. I'm like, I'm out of here. I'm checking out. I just rolled over, and I thought, if life isn't going to show up the way I want it to, I'm just going to live it the way I want to, right here, la la la, just checking out. And I part of me felt really guilty about that, because I wasn't feeding my kids. They were finding their own food, 2 and 4 years old. And for about 3 days, I slept whenever I could. I just wanted out. And so I started picturing, okay, what would life be like if? I closed my eyes and imagined being in a house of my own. I imagined walking through the door at the end of the day, playing with the kids outside or something, and having them run past me, and in front of me was a living room, and if they went over here, they'd come through the kitchen this way, and that was a runaround, which is, by the way, very important if you have young children. My mother taught me that a long time ago, that if you're going to raise children, you have to have a runaround in the house. Otherwise, they're only dead ends, and that's no fun. And so I lived this in my head for a while, and I did it to spite the seminar speakers. I did it to spite them. They had my money. And I was a little bit bitter about that. And so I checked out. And a year later, we had moved into this home, which was a dream for me. I hadn't pictured grass. I didn't know I needed to. I didn't know that wasn't just a given. But if any of you have lived in Hesperia, you know that it's not a given to have grass. This is in California. And what happened was, I didn't realize that what I had done that day had had any effect on how we ended up here. I didn't know that. I didn't figure that out for another 2 or 3 years. And the problem with that is that what had actually happened was my taking the time to put an image on the screen of my mind and allowing myself to live it, to feel it for a period of time, started things in motion to provide the doors that would open for us and the path to line up in front of us to get us to a place like that. And the reason I say it's unfortunate we didn't realize what we had done there, and Trevan had a lot to do with this too, because he wanted the same thing that I did, but we ended up broke at a higher level. It wasn't long before I was depressed again. I did call the cops again on a kid who stole cookie dough out of my fridge. It's true. It's true. No, actually, I came home from somewhere and the door was ajar. I'm like, somebody's been here. And I went around and I had some jewelry stolen and some other things. And then I saw a trail of cookie dough going out the front yard. And I'm like, and so I did. I called the cops and I said, it's not really a big deal, but I think I've been broken into. Am I supposed to report this? And he came out and treated it like the crime of the century again. I don't know where these California cops had that much time on their hands, because you can't get them to help you find a stolen car, But he actually went around the neighborhood and interviewed other kids and found the boy. And I'll just on a side, it's really funny. He goes and he knocks on the door where the boy lives, and they come to the door with his mom, and he's behind his mom's leg. And he says, we've had a break-in across the way. And he says, do you know anything about that? And he's like, no, about 5 years old. And he's like, he looks at his shoes and he goes, we have footprints. And by the way, he fingerprinted at my house. He literally did. He went to the trouble of doing that. And then he looks straight at the little boy and he says, and we have fingerprints too. And the little boy goes, on the white plate. It was awesome. It was awesome. All right, so moving on. All right, so we're broke at a higher level. I'm depressed again, frustrated, angry. And we were facing questions like these. Maybe you face these. When is it better to have a car loan instead of constant repairs? You don't want to go into debt, but you're spending $3,000 a month to fix your junk heap. We were doing that, not quite $3,000 a month, but how do I develop a savings when I can't keep up as it is? Do I take my kid to the emergency room on Saturday night or wait until Monday morning? Is that sad? Okay, they're bleeding. How much is this going to cost me? Can it wait 2 days? What about retirement? Are you depending on Social Security? I'm not going there. What if the check bounces? How can I keep a promise to a creditor now that my income has dropped? How will I pay for Christmas this year when last year's isn't paid off? How will we survive after the downsize? How can we keep mother home from work? How far do I have to drive to save 10 cents in gas? Yeah, all right. So, still, even after we'd moved, we were still going to seminars and still getting a lot of good out of them. In fact, all those notes from all those seminars was the fodder for Jackrabbit Factor, just so you know. So it wasn't for nothing, all right? But I got to a point again where along comes another seminar, and I said, you know what, this is the last one. I am done. I can't justify spending money on seminars anymore. Honey, if you want to keep going after this one, fine, but I'm out of here unless something really changes. And it happened to be Bob Proctor, who was the guest speaker at that event. Any of you have heard of him. He has been our mentor for a number of years, and it's because of what we learned from him that everything we do has kind of come about. So, but the problem is I went to that seminar, and I was so fuming about what we had spent to get there that I wasn't paying any attention. I didn't really listen. And he did a Stickman presentation. And by the end of it, everybody's in a buzz about what it had done for them right then and there. And I'd never seen a reaction to a presentation in all those years like I was seeing right then. And I'm like, what'd I miss? I leaned over to my husband. I said, well, what'd he say? He had just spent between 2 and 4 hours developing this concept, and I wanted Trevan to sum it up for me in about 30 seconds. It wasn't going to happen. And so about 6 months later, he was invited back to speak again. And this time I thought, I'm going to go and I'm going to listen. But this is the last one. This is the last one. And, at one point I was able to meet Bob in between sessions, and I'd heard that he is a good way of kind of picking up on how you think just by meeting you. I don't know, I thought, well, that's an interesting little circus trick. Let's see what he has to say. So I went up during the event in between sessions, and we stood there. I mean, how do you stand when you know they're analyzing you? And he told me, he says, you've got a pretty good balance between the right and the left brain, but you're primarily creative. And I thought, okay, he doesn't know what he's talking about, because I'm a math major. I was a math major, and I am very analytical. And I told him, I said, I have a hard time believing that, because I'm always thinking, I'm always analyzing, I'm always looking at my situation and figuring it out and analyzing it and hashing. Any of you process? Something happens and you process it, don't you? And your husband's like, are we still talking about that? So I process, and I told him this, and he looked me square in the eyes and he said, you're not thinking. Straight face. Your mind is busy, but you're not thinking. And I thought, was I just insulted? I didn't know. I processed that one. I thought, I literally processed that one for a year. It took me a year to figure out what he meant by that. And I'm going to tell you you want to know what he meant by that? For those of you who process? Okay, I will. We'll get to it. Anyway, it was after that event, I'm going to go back to this a second. It was after that event that, or during that second presentation, my husband and I were sitting there, and he's showing us this presentation. And halfway through, we look at each other and we're like, that's all it is? That's all it is? This is what they've been trying to tell me for 7 years, or by this time it was 9 years. All of a sudden, all the things that we'd been told all those years were boiled down into this one simple illustration on how our mind works and how to change your life. And we took that, our awareness, we just went, new awareness. All of a sudden, the lines are all over that number grid thing. And shoot, this is easy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, And we came home, and within 3 months, tripled our income. After all those years of beating our heads against the wall, figure of speech, things changed very quickly. And in case you're wondering, it wasn't because our business went phew, because it didn't. It's because he was led to an opportunity that tripled his salary in his industry, which, if you're thinking right now, oh, that can't happen in my industry, we didn't think it could happen in his. So, and that was before we even really got independent of a job. So it doesn't have to be in business that this happens. Anyway, when the lights finally go on, you experience a degree of power and control over your life that you didn't even realize was possible to have. And that's what we experienced. Now, after about 6 months, his company sent out an inquiry to see if anybody was interested in teaching what they'd learned. And I'm like, oh, I've found my passion. This is, I can't not share this. This has made such an impact. I mean, if life had been pretty good, and we'd seen this, and we made it a little bit better, that would have been one thing. But this was like living like this, and all of a sudden, whew, freedom, relative freedom. It was night and day for us. And so when he said that, I'm like, I'm all over that. And I went and I trained with his company to facilitate his programs. But I found that putting on seminars all the time was very time-consuming. It was hard to get a crowd together. It was all these things that were difficult for me to do at the time with my children and whatnot, that I decided, okay, these are my kids now. I decided I needed to create something that would be the seminar for me, because if I wasn't teaching it, I felt guilty. I felt like I have been entrusted with this information, I have to share it. And so that's why I wrote The Jackrabbit Factor. That's kind of how that started. And after it came out and it became a bestseller, all of a sudden the demand for seminars went up. And I'm like, that's not really what I meant to have happen, because I was doing that so I wouldn't have to do seminars. And don't get me wrong, I don't mind being here with you. I enjoy this, okay? It's just that at the time it was insurmountable for me to think about doing. In fact, by the time this happened, my husband was working about 2 hours away, commuting 5 hours a day. And I had all the little kids, and I was expecting, and it was just too much. So that's why we did this in the first place. Our purpose now is to help families achieve prosperity through a heightened awareness of universal law and an increased understanding of the magnificent human mind. What I found out is if you can get a new paradigm about two things, number one, about the universe and how it works, and about you, how you work, and how you two can work together, you and the universe and God's creation can work together, you can solve your problems a little more confidently. And a couple things I'm going to cover about yourself. There's three parts of you. It's your physical, the physical aspect of you where you can see, hear, taste, touch, smell. And non-physical, it's your perception, reason, will, memory, imagination, intuition, and essentially the stick person model, which I will show you here in a minute. Universal laws, by the way, we don't have time to go into these. It's covered in the book Hidden Treasures, which if you got the goodie bag, that's what that CD is for, that tape set. But I found out that if you've seen The Secret, or if you know anything about the law of attraction, that is just one of the laws. That is just one of the laws. And so if you've tried to apply what you've learned about the law of attraction and the results aren't quite showing up the way you think they should, understanding the rest of the laws is very important. Essentially, it helps you know how to think when you don't know what to think. And when you and universal law work together properly, you get inspiration and hunches. You tap into that. You attract more favorable resources. And I don't mean that you suck it into the room. All the resources you need are already around you. You become aware of them. You begin to resonate with them. Those connections start to happen. Like if you're in an elevator, say you have a business dilemma, and you're in an elevator with somebody, and that person may have the solution to your dilemma. What determines whether or not a conversation is struck up? Sometimes you talk to the person, sometimes you don't. The thing that's going to determine whether that conversation begins is how you're thinking. Whether or not something inside of you tells you, open your mouth. If you've read The Jackrabbit Factor at the beginning of that, where it talks about this family they were all saved because of their seatbelts in a car crash. And the man John says, no, it wasn't the seatbelts that saved your life, it was whatever told you to put them on that saved your life. And that's essentially what can happen to us as we start living by these principles. The inspiration, the little notions, the little nudges, sometimes imperceptible, that tell us to do whatever, are going to help us achieve those goals that we've set if we've set them properly and if we utilize these principles. Question is, what does your mind look like? If I'm going to tell you that you're going to need to change the way you think a little bit, sometimes it's hard to do that. It's very abstract. But we're going to give you a model. This is called the mind model. I want to point out that your mind is not your brain. Mind is moving thought energy through three parts of you, three primary components. And those components are, number one, the conscious part of your mind, the subconscious, and your body. In this model, the conscious and the subconscious part of your mind are drawn bigger than your body, because while your body does play a part in what happens, because that's where you're taking action, that's when you're shaking someone's hand, that's when you're calling someone on the phone, it's what you do. The greatest work and the most effective work is going to happen right up in your head. The conscious part of your mind, this is where your awareness lies. You're aware of being in this room. All right, they say that of all the creatures on the planet, humans are the only ones with this awareness that they are aware. We're aware that we're aware. What I don't know is, how do we know that animals don't have that? I don't know. Who's going to ask them, you know? I just had to challenge that. But it's also the part of your mind that adds meaning to data input. You come home from work and you see the living room in a shambles. Are you going to say, this is good or this is bad? The data input is, it's a shambles. It could mean that your spouse just spent an hour roughhousing with the kids and they had a great time. That would be a good thing. Maybe it was just ransacked. That would be a bad thing. But you are the one that makes that determination when you see data input. The conscious part of your mind also has the ability to accept or reject ideas. Sitting here right now, you've got that filter. Whatever I'm saying, you're either letting it sit there for a while, or you're rejecting it, and that's your choice. And that's important to know that you have that ability because you're going to use it to change your life. And I'm going to explain that in just a minute. It also has the ability to create new ideas. If you're going to take a note on anything, this would be a good one because this is your key to freedom. This is your key to freedom. I want you to take a second and try to create something brand new in your mind. Think of a crazy animal, something that doesn't exist in the real world. Put it on the screen of your mind. Create something new. When you have something, I want you to raise your hand. Okay, really loud. Can you describe what yours is? No, up here. Yeah.
All right. It's a new jungle beast with gray skin and
A jungle beast with gray skin, long nose,
horn coming out of his forehead,
a horn coming out of his forehead,
big feet, curly cues that grow down from his shoulders.
big feet and curly cues that grow down from his shoulders. This is beautiful. That's great. Does it have a name?
No, it doesn't.
Would somebody like to name his creature? Yeah? George. Why not? Why not? When I've asked this question before, I've had people say, and I'll call them and they say, unicorn, or jackalope, or something like that. And I'll say, great, is that a new idea? It may not exist in the real world, but was it yours? Was it original? And that's what I'm trying to get you to do. Now, just, if any of you have a hard time creating something? A little bit. Kind of hard to formulate an image of something. Well, then do this. Picture your car. Raise your hand when, close your eyes and raise your hand when you can see your car in front of you. Okay? Okay. Combine those two skills and you've got this. It's putting something on the screen of your mind that wasn't there a minute ago on purpose. On purpose. And as you work on creating something that doesn't really exist now, you've got the first step to changing your life. In other words, what we're going to do is we're going to practice seeing how we want life to be. And I don't mean just these random thoughts that pop in and out of your head that say bigger house, car that starts, whatever, you know. It's picturing it. It's going through the verb, the action, the process of painting it on the screen of your mind and seeing it. That's the first step. And for some people, that's the hardest thing to do. But we can't overlook it because that's the key. The subconscious mind, this is what is controlling your automatic life-sustaining functions. This is what keeps your heart beating all day long, whether you remember to make it beat or not. Thank heavens, right? How much thought did you put into keeping your heart beating today? Our subconscious mind handles that. It also keeps you breathing through the night. It cannot accept or reject ideas. In other words, if it's got an idea that's planted in the subconscious mind, it says, oh, okay, that's true. That's true. And we're going to talk about how ideas get there. It's the center for your emotion. It's your emotional center. In some cultures, it's called your heart or your spirit. It's the emotional part of you. And your body. This is where your behaviors are displayed. This is where your health conditions are manifest. And it's also the part that determines how people respond to you. And I'm not talking about how you dress. And I'm not talking about your body language so much as I'm talking about how people feel when they're near you. Have you ever walked into a room where somebody is angry and you've walked in and you felt something is not quite right? All right, so the feeling that people get when they're around you, it's an energy that you're putting off. You know, they've been able to photograph energy that comes off of us. And it's because we're vibrating. On a molecular level, everything is in a state of vibration, and we are going to talk about that too. So, And then the fourth part we're going to talk about are the results. And in this model, they're going to be pointed out there. That's where they're always going to be shown in this model. Now, I want to point out that, as James Allen said in his classic, As a Man Thinketh, the outer conditions of a person's life, the results, will always be found to be harmoniously related to his inner state. And I don't mean his conscious mind, I mean his heart. Ooh, hello. His subconscious. Men do not attract that which they want, but that which they are. So in this model, whatever you're thinking on a conscious level is going to have very little permanent effect on your results. The thing that's going to keep your results what they are is what's going on in the subconscious mind. The part that's keeping your heart beating. The part that's keeping you broke. The part that's keeping you in situations that you don't want to be in. It's handling it for you all by itself. You can thank your programs in the subconscious mind for keeping your life a certain way. How many of you have tried different things and ended up with the same results, no matter what you do? I tried this, I tried this, I tried this, and no matter what I do, I get the same thing. It's like the body, no matter what the body does, no matter what you do, your results are going to be a reflection of what's going on in the subconscious mind, not the conscious mind, not the actions, but what's going on in here. And so that's why two people can be doing the same thing in the same business and get completely different results. I remember, I don't know if this is the right place to tell this story. I will tell it anyway. I remember a long time ago we were trying to build a business, and someone had told us that if you just show 150 presentations, you should be making $2,000 a month, because they had never seen anybody show that many presentations and not make $2,000 a month. We're like, great! So what did we do? We created a chart with 150 squares. And every time we showed a presentation, we put a smiley face on the square. Because we knew that when we had that filled in, what would we be making? $2,000 a month. We're so excited. At the end of those 150 presentations, we weren't making any money. I think we were the first people to come along to prove that theory wrong. And what I found out is that we were doing the actions that someone else had done without the vision that they had had. What happened was we were so focused on filling in that sheet that who were we attracting? Who were the people that we were showing presentations to? We were showing it to people who would be kind enough to let us show them a presentation. The other people who were doing really well, they were attracting people who wanted what they had to offer. So are the results going to be different? Absolutely. Same activity, different results. And it's because of our thinking. All right. This on the left, on the left is a child, a young child. Ideas come in, there is no filter. They believe everything. They believe everything. You can tell them anything and they're like, okay, yes. You can tell them the world is flat. Okay, yes. Whatever. Whatever it is. And whatever those ideas are, they stay in the subconscious mind even after that filter has been developed. Do you think that there are ideas in our subconscious minds that were planted as young children or in society before we had a filter to know any better to reject it, that are still there, that may be false ideas? Absolutely. What are some of the things that you think might be in people's subconscious minds right now that are keeping their results in a certain place that they might not even be aware of are in there? Religion? What else?
Life is hard.
Life is hard. Money is hard to come by. Poverty, yeah. Money is evil. You know, some of these ideas that are a part of who we are after the filter's been developed. And so when we try to challenge that, okay, money is going to be easy for me right now. I've decided that I'm going to go into business for myself and I'm going to make a boatload of money because I think I can. And I'm doing all the things that they tell me to do. And my results aren't showing up any different. It's because I've got this automatic life-sustaining function that keeps me where I belong, or where my subconscious thinks I belong. So, one of the laws that I'm going to mention is that whatever that idea is in the subconscious mind automatically moves you, your body, into a vibration that's in harmony with it. And I don't want to get all weird on that. When I say vibration, I just want you to think about a feeling, okay? Because a feeling is nothing more than a conscious awareness of a particular vibration. If you're saying, I feel great, that just means you're saying, I am consciously aware that I'm in a positive vibration. That's all it is. Okay, so I'm going to use the word vibration just because it works with the rest of this. Whatever those ideas, it moves you into a vibration that corresponds with it. And that, remember what the body does? It affects how people respond to you. It affects opportunities that you're aware of or not. It's tuning your radio station. It's tuning you to be tuned into stuff. All right, so the law of vibration. Let's just go over this real quick. All things in the universe are in a state of vibration. We control our vibration by controlling our thoughts. A feeling is nothing more than a conscious awareness of a particular vibration. We attract or connect to people, situations, lifestyle, and opportunities, but only those which are in harmony with our personal vibration. We repel all other varieties. So in other words, I don't mean that you walk down the street and something that's not in harmony with you is going to be thrown away like the opposite end of a magnet. You know, it's not going to be repelled from you, but there will be no connection made. You'll be in the elevator with that person who has a solution, and there will be no conversation. You know, everything you need is already right around you. And because of this, we get results that reflect what's in our subconscious mind. This is the coolest part. We're getting to where Bob told me that my mind was busy, but I wasn't thinking. The reason we remain in bondage, the reason we do this and we do this and we do this and then we do this and we get the same results every time is because we have these 5 senses. Physical senses. We can see, hear, taste, touch, smell. And with these senses, we gather data. And we use that data to make judgments about what we can do, what we can have, what we can accomplish. And so if you look at this, if we've got an old paradigm in our mind that's keeping us in bondage, and our results are showing up that way, we take that information in. We look at the checkbook. We look at the balance online. We see the bills in the mail. We get the phone calls from the creditors. Whatever it might be, this is just data input coming into our 5 senses. Now, I want you to pay attention to this, because this is huge. There are 2 factors that determine the programs that are going to run in your subconscious mind. Number 1, thoughts that are repeated often. And number 2, thoughts that are charged with emotion. Thoughts that are charged with emotion. So 2 ways, repetition and emotion. Some of you may remember in Jackrabbit Factor how he says if you can just add the emotion, that'll put it in your subconscious mind. Some people have a hard time doing that, so you resort to repetition. That's what affirmations are for. And you say things, you know, if you tell yourself a lie often enough, you'll eventually start to believe it. And, or your subconscious mind will start to believe it. And as long as we're lying to ourselves anyway, life is hard. It's hard to make money. Those are lies. We might as well lie to ourselves constructively and start changing that. Money comes to me frequently and easily in increasing quantities from multiple sources on a continual basis. I used to say people want my products, but now I say people buy my products. It's a difference, you know. Anyway, there's more, but I'm not going to share it with you. So if this is the case, thoughts that are repeated often and thoughts charged with emotion, then question is, what do you think about often? How do you feel about your present circumstances? Lights kind of went on for me when I saw this, because all those years I'd been ranting and raving about the way life was. A lot of emotion, a lot of complaining, with emotion. And when I saw this, I'm like, I mean, this is my fault? So remember, thoughts repeated often, thoughts charged with emotion. Determine the programs that will continue to control your results. And so what I was doing was I was getting the data input, I was seeing it, I was processing it, I was getting emotionally charged with it in an angry way. Doesn't matter if it's a good emotion or a bad emotion. Emotion is the path there to get those ideas going. And then no matter what I would do, what was controlling my results? It was those things that I had been telling my subconscious mind, this is the way I want my life to be because I am so passionate about it. So why do you think all these gurus tell you to get passionate about what you want? Oh, that's why. You know, when I saw this, I'm like, oh, picture what you want. I see. You know, it started to, oh, so that's what they were saying. So to get different results, we're going to do 3 things. We're going to do a virus scan. Pretend like we're a computer, okay? We're going to scan for viruses. Do we have viruses in our subconscious mind? Very likely, yes. If our life is not what we want it to be, then something's keeping us where we are that needs to be changed. That's a virus. So we're going to take an inventory of our results. That's how we do the virus scan. We're going to quarantine bad programs. We're going to identify them. Okay, I have this paradigm that people aren't going to want to buy my books, or whatever it might be in your life, you know, whatever you've had to overcome or need to overcome. And then there's 2 ways to quarantine bad programs. Number 1 is to use that filter and reject the idea when the data comes in. Pay attention that it came in. Okay, I opened the bill, says overdue. That's data input. Okay, that's data input. I can choose to reject that. Now, does that mean, oh, I'm rejecting that bill, it doesn't exist? No. Okay, that's not what I mean. What I mean is refuse to get emotionally charged about it. Handle it without emotion. Turn that switch off. Okay? Handle it without emotion. You need to make a phone call and say, I just saw this overdue bill notice. I don't have the money, but I want to work it out. What can we do? Without emotion. And if you want it to turn out well, picture the outcome of the call before you pick up the phone. Change your vibration before you pick up the phone. And a lot of times it's picturing what you want instead of what you don't want. How many times have you picked up the phone just knowing they're going to deny you? Just knowing they're going to give you a hard time. Just knowing they're going to scold you for being late. See, I think that when you do it right, when you picture what you want and how you want it to turn out, when you call that phone, serendipity is going to make sure that the nice person in that office is the one that picks up. I know somebody who, somebody famous who likes to speed and to protect the guilty. I'm not going to tell you who, but he said, you know, and it's not Bob Proctor, by the way. He says, I just like to speed. And it used to be I'd get pulled over and I'd think, oh, I don't want a ticket, I don't want a ticket, I don't want a ticket. And he'd get a ticket. He says, you know what I do now? He gets pulled over. He's like, I want a warning. I'd love a warning. A warning would be so awesome. And it changes his vibration. It changes the state of being that he's in. It changes the feeling that the cop gets when he comes to the door. Now, I am not telling you to speed, okay? Obey the law. Obey the law. But picture what you want instead of what you don't want before you take action. Simple. All right. So, if you've got a negative idea, reject it by refusing to handle it emotionally. Another way is to take that data input and assign a positive to it instead. You get to choose what kind of meaning you put to the data. All right, so you're stuck in traffic and you're late for work and you're getting emotionally charged about this traffic, and you can stop and say, okay, I choose to attach a positive meaning to this. Okay, I might be late, but I might be avoiding a wreck that's about to happen 2 miles ahead. You can make something up. Whatever it takes to put you into a positive feeling before taking action. You know, it's one way to avoid road rage, you know. So anyway, if you can attach a positive meaning to it, go ahead and let yourself get emotionally charged about that. Let yourself feel really good about that. And if you do, it will automatically move you into a positive vibration, and as a result, your results will be positive. Uploading new programs is the 3rd thing, and we do this through repetition or emotion. And we do this by creating a brand new idea entirely, not depending on our 5 senses to bring in data. We create our own data. Like I checked out and pictured having a home of my own, thinking I was doing something wrong. That's one of my programs, is that it's wrong to do that. How wrong was that? I've learned it was a good thing. It's a good thing to picture what you want. And it begins with a dream. You allow yourself to create it first, and that can take some work. That's probably the hardest part in this. And let yourself think about it on a conscious level. Fall in love with the idea. Feel the emotion you expect to feel as if it was already true. Now here's the key. Your subconscious mind cannot distinguish the difference between an experience that is imagined and one that is actually true. Now that's kind of your, what's the word? That's your advantage over your subconscious mind, is you can feed it whatever you want. It's going to say, oh, okay. Oh, so that's my new truth? Oh, so that's true? Okay. If that's true, then I better get you moving in this direction. If your new paradigm says, I have great relationships. Oh, so you have great relationships now. Okay, great relationships. We'll work on that. And subconsciously, you're going to be moved to do things that you wouldn't have done otherwise, or give you ideas that you wouldn't have thought of otherwise to help those relationships. See, it's not just about money. It's about change. It's whatever you want to change. And really, faith is to believe in something you cannot see. That's what you're doing. You're creating something on the screen of your mind, and you're having faith that it's going to help you behave better. And really, for faith to work, where do you think the effective belief must take place? Do you think it's having faith up here that, oh, I'll just quit my job and I trust that everything's going to work out because I have faith? Where deep down in here, I'm feeling really worried. I'm really worried because I'm picturing the disaster that's going to happen if the income has dried up. I'm picturing the train wreck at the end of the month. That's not faith. Faith is when it comes from here to here. And you can either do that through emotion by feeling it, letting yourself see it ahead of time, or repetition. And repetition sometimes takes longer. If you can do both together, powerful. By law, the new idea firmly established in the heart or the subconscious mind must manifest as an altered vibration in the body. It automatically moves you into a vibration that's a new vibration. And then by law, the new vibration causes you to resonate with or recognize new opportunities. If you take action, the corresponding Y results become predictable. Predictable. Now back to this. You're not thinking. Your mind is busy, but you're not thinking. This is busyness. That's the bondage cycle. What did I tell him? I said, I'm always looking at my situation and trying to analyze it. What's that going to do for me? Give me more of the same. And he knew that. When I said, I'm always thinking, I'm always analyzing, I'm hashing things, I'm looking at my situation, he was probably thinking, oh, you poor soul. Because he knew better. I mean, he knew exactly what I was doing. And he knew from that I was having a hard time changing. He could pick that up like that. He says, your mind is busy, but you're not thinking. To think is to create a new idea. To think is to create a new idea. Now, when you go to take action on a new idea, when you've planted the new idea in your subconscious mind and it moves you into a vibration that corresponds with it, you're going to have opportunities show up that you've never had before. And it might not be what you asked for. You might not know that this is the how it's going to happen, but it's going to be new, and you're going to say, I think that would actually help me accomplish my goal. And when you choose to take action on that, you're going to face a terror barrier. It's important to recognize it, understand it, and know what to do about it. And we're going to gain the proper awareness, which will help you push through it. So this is you. This is all of us. Where we're at right now. Whatever those subconscious ideas are that are controlling our results, there they are. And instead we want to change. So we think of a new idea. We think, I have a house. I live in a house with a runaround. That's what I have. That's where I live. And we think about it, and we let ourselves get emotionally charged about it. Now remember, the subconscious mind accepts everything as truth. And so here it has, I am broke, and I am wealthy. And it says, I am broke, I am wealthy. This is true too. What would that do to a computer? Blue screen of death, right? Yeah, that wouldn't be good. It would confuse the computer. And what it does to us is, remember I told you that whatever that idea, it moves you automatically into a vibration that corresponds with it? Well, it's going to move you into an XY vibration. And how that feels, I am wealthy, I am broke, I am wealthy, I am broke, true, 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 true. It shows up as anxiety in your physical body, stress, fear, dis-ease, not being at ease. And when we feel that, okay, so we've had this new idea that life is going to be different. Opportunity comes along. We go to take action on it, and we get this sick feeling. And what do we usually do with that? How do we usually interpret that? It must be wrong. Oh, that's bad. That didn't feel right. I think I'll do this. Hit the terror barrier and go back to the comfort zone. Problem, there's a problem with this, and that is that man's mind, once stretched by a new idea, never regains its original dimensions. So you're all here. Sorry. Sorry. It's a trap. You got to grow or you're not going to be happy. That's the way life is. But instead, when you hit that terror barrier, you learn to recognize it for what it is. And this is what my husband and I did after coming home from that presentation where we changed our life, tripled the income in 3 months, is we came home from that and there were some opportunities. And they were scary. They were way out of our comfort zone and we felt the anxiety. And instead of saying, ooh, this is bad, I don't know what to do with this, I think I better think twice, let me sleep on it for another 2 months, whatever. Instead of doing that, we looked at each other and says, I know what this feeling means. I know what this means, because what it means is that you're this close to breaking through. If you take that action, you can know that the results will be Y results. There is no guesswork here. You get through that anxiety, and the results are predictable because you have altered what's going on in the subconscious mind. Now, what's already in there is always going to be in there, but you can override it. It's like your computer. It has all these programs that are there, but they may not be running. The ones that are running are the ones that you choose to run, and that's what we're doing. It's making that choice. Now, let me say this. I'm not, if you're going to go off to like Squaw Peak in Provo and stand on the edge and say, I wonder what would happen if I jumped, you're going to feel some anxiety. That's good anxiety. All right, I'm not here to tell you how to overcome the anxiety of doing something stupid. And how are you going to know the difference? You're going to know the difference because you will have created a new idea in your mind on how you want your life to be. You're going to have an opportunity show up, or an idea, or a thought to call someone, or a thought to go somewhere or do something. And you're going to feel, it's going to feel right in your heart. It's going to feel wrong when you go to take action. I don't know that jumping off Squaw Peak is going to feel right in your heart first. Do you know what I'm saying? Okay? And it's because your heart is going to resonate with the new opportunity, and it will resonate with you because you had moved yourself into a vibration that was in harmony with it by creating the idea and allowing yourself to get emotionally charged about it. So the question is, what do you want? And I suggest you write it down. Jackrabbit Factor will tell you why. Your results will be a reflection of the ideas to which you give the strongest emotion. So, do you fear poverty more than you love abundance? Or is it the other way around? Whichever one is the stronger emotion is going to guide that ship. Let me just tell you a quick story. I was in a rush. I needed to hurry up and get a package ready for the mail, and I was looking for my packaging tape. And I knew it was in this closet because I had just seen it not long before. And I went in there, and I knew it was in there, but I was in a hurry. Have you ever been really ineffective when you're in a hurry? You get in this stressful thing and nothing works for you because you're in a vibration of stress. And so I'm in there and I'm looking for this packaging tape, and I know it was on a shelf, and I'm looking back, and I've got my hand out like this so that I be sure not to miss it. And I'm back and forth, and I go on this wall, where's the stud? Oh my gosh, I gotta go, where is it? And I'm just like this. Okay, this will repel what you're looking for. This will repel the change you want to make in your life. You don't want it to slow down, but you should calm down whenever you're trying to live. Just do it all the time. Just be calm. And so I thought, okay, I need to practice what I teach. And sometimes, I tell you, It's really annoying to know what I know, because sometimes I don't feel like it. I don't feel like doing it. I just need the tape. Why do I have to picture this stupid tape? Can't I just... Ugh. I thought, no, all right. So I went around the corner. I don't know if you can see it. There's a couch over there. And I sat down and I thought, okay, here we go. I'm breathing deeply. I've got the screen in my mind, and there's the packaging tape. And I'm holding it. I'm going to involve all the senses I can, because that helps trick my subconscious mind into believing that I am one with this tape. And I'm feeling it, and I'm rotating it, and I'm doing my fingernails on the little edge, because that's what I do, you know. When you're using it, everybody does that, right? So, all right, and then, all right, so there I can see it. Now, what's the next step? What's that? Be grateful, emotion. Okay, get some emotion around it. I'm going to be emotional about this packaging tape. All right? Oh, I'm so grateful I found it. Okay, I'm great. Okay. I get up and I walk in there, and this is what I see. So I either literally created that tape out of thin air, or it was there all along and I just was repelling it. It was not a part of my life until I became in harmonious vibration with the packaging tape. I know it sounds silly. I dare you to try it with something. Go home and find your lost car keys. Okay? And if you can experience it with something silly like this, and you see it happen enough, you start thinking, well, what could I do with my life? What could I do with my life? We have no comprehension of the power of our minds and the tools that God gave us to live and live abundantly. His universe is abundant. If we're not living in abundance, it's not because the universe is lacking. It's there. If you can conceive it, you can achieve it by law. Don't filter it, fall in love with it. Let me just ask you this question real quick. Is it wrong to want more? The object of all life is development. Everything that lives has an inalienable right to all the development it is capable of attaining. A person's right to life means his right to have the free and unrestricted use of all the things which may be necessary to his fullest mental, spiritual, and physical unfolding. I subscribe to that. I believe that we are here to grow and become all that we can be, all that we were meant to be, and if money is preventing that from happening, then there's something wrong, and it needs to be fixed. So now, again, this is where we came from at that point. This is what it turned into over time, and I don't show you that. It's not to impress anybody, because holy cow, this is a tract home. All right, there's really nothing special about it where we live. It's whatever, but I just show you this to show you the change that can happen. And also, prosperity is not about how much money you have in the bank. It's not about where you live. It's about, are you able to accomplish the things you feel you need to do to develop yourself and to develop your family to their highest potential. If there's something keeping you from doing that, and this, I'll tell you, there was a purpose for absolutely every feature in this home. We finally moved back to Arizona, where my husband's extended family lives, and we needed a gathering place for the extended family because we're very tight-knit family, and there was no place to get together all at once. And we set out to have a place where the family could get together. That's what that was for. So do problems go away? No. There will always be problems, because through problems we grow. Through overcoming challenges, we get stronger and we grow. Let me just share you a quick story. It was probably a year or so after we had seen this huge change, and a few years. And I was paying my bills online. I set up a bill pay thing, and it just sends it off automatically. And I needed to pay Verizon about $46.23 or something like that. And I entered it, and I forgot the decimal, and I hit send. I sent Verizon more than $4,000. And I'm like, I didn't mean to do that. And so I called them up, and they said, well, they were going to use it as a credit. For how many generations, I don't know. But I said, no, I really need you to send that back. Wouldn't it have been nice if that check bounced? Have you ever wished a check would bounce? Don't answer that. So yeah, that was a problem. That was inconvenient. I had to wait 2 weeks to get that money back. And that wasn't fun. I would have much rather have had it there for the things that it was meant for. So problems don't go away. You just get different kinds of problems. It all started with the Stickman concept, which has been huge to me. So in summary, your subconscious mind controls your results. You can change subconscious programming through repetition and proper use of emotion. Significant change requires passage through a terror barrier. Now, when it shows up, get excited. Because it means that you were successful in taking an idea from here to here to here. If it's not here, you'll never feel the anxiety. Understanding the terror barrier can help you take action. Results become more predictable and desirable. Now imagine, what could you do with your life? What could you do? Make no small plans, for they have not the power to stir men's souls. Make no small plans. What kind of a legacy could you leave? What kind of effect could you have on this planet? What could you do to make this world a better place? Just think of that. Now, sometimes this can raise some questions. I'm going to just touch on a few of them. What if my partner doesn't think this way? What if I'm thinking right and everything still goes wrong? What if I think wrong for a period of time? Can my goal still happen? What about God's will for me? How can I turn failures into success? What is my role and what's God's role in the process? How long do I have to wait for the results to show up? Now, there's not time to go over these here. I do want to introduce you to a 3-day seminar that can answer those questions. It's called the Principles of Prosperity 3-day seminar. It's $29.95 per person, plus airfare, sitters, and whatever if you need it. Who's feeling it? Okay, I'm going to put your mind to ease. There is no seminar, okay? I mean, yes, we do have a seminar, but I'm not here to sell you a seminar. I'm not doing that. But I just want you to pay attention to how you thought. Become aware of how you think. When you saw that, $29.95, and I'm not talking about $29, and we're leaving the decimal out, that's almost $3,000, what meaning did you assign to that data input? Okay? Absolute negative. Too expensive. Too expensive. Nothing could be worth that much. Well, you think if it could help you learn how to earn $3,000 over and over and over and over again the rest of your life, would it be worth it? Some of you may have even thought, that's too cheap. Couldn't do me any good. Seminars I go to are at least 10 grand. You're laughing. It's true. There are people out there that feel that way. If it's not expensive enough, they don't need it. So maybe you rejected the idea right off the bat. Or maybe you felt, you know what? I believe this could really help me achieve my goals. But whatever actions you take on an opportunity like that, by our choices, we shape our circumstances. Now, the truth is, we do have a 3-day event coming in January that does cost $29.95, but not everybody is invited to that. If you've ever thought about teaching this kind of material, you'll want to ask us for more information on that. But otherwise, where do you go from here? Presentation been valuable, whether or not you buy anything? Has this given you something that you can take home and do something with your life right now with what I've given you? If I have, thank you. Thank you. Then I've done my job, because I wanted this to be something where you could walk away from it and say, that was just what I needed tonight. Now, this is just for serious students. If you're serious about implementing and learning how this works and getting it on a deeper level and in your heart, if you're wanting to get it in your heart, get the Home Study program. Get the Home Study program. You'll discover that ask and you shall receive is a true promise. And let me show you how to live it.
All right, let's really hear it for Leslie, all right?